Good morning. I think we're coming live. Happy Monday, everybody.
Rise and shine, everyone. We hope you had a fabulous weekend.
We certainly did again. Yeah, we were busy out doing meeting some real estate investors. A little bit of hair down kind of getting together. We did see a project.
Yes, we did. We went to the Sight and Splash project, followed by a barbecue.
Yeah,
With the great team, Dijon. And that was great. It's a little bit more laid back, but we're still got to have the insights of seeing the project, where it is, where soon we're going to be to completion.
I love that neighborhood, all the old buildings there in Hamilton. It was beautiful.
It was.
For those of you who don't know, Dijon are the power duo, Diana and John Benitez. They are amazing, inspiring real estate investors. We met them a few years ago after we joined Keyspire. And
Keyspire, yes. And, it was sort of like a little reunion celebration because they were the first ones to put a meetup as soon as the country opened up. And as we shared the story before, Jim signed us up for the first time. We were hesitant, but they really were sort of like the catapult of Irismar and Jim, becoming networkings, because that was the breaker. That's where we went. So it was beautiful to get back this weekend and reconnect, but also seeing the project, getting the insights, what they've gone through, how they had to pivot, what are they working to get it to completion in the next 6 months. So from an investor point, it was great. It was very knowledgeable, insightful. Everyone that participated actually felt like, okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of great knowledge shared there, and just their learnings and all that sort of stuff. So it was great. So thank you very much to you guys, Diana and John, Dijon, for having us over at your house for a pool party and a barbecue afterwards. That was a lot of fun, a lot of great people we met. And a great time. And we also spent time with Patrick White and Sarah Rochford.
We did, yes.
They're also Keyspire members, but I think Sarah is part of a few other real estate investing groups. But they had us over at their house as well. And we hung out with our awesome friend Natasha Referral, who's one of the owners of Club Muskoka that you see us up during the summer. So yeah, we've been home for 10 days or 2 weeks, and getting a lot of laundry done and everything here, but it's been wonderful. So thank you. So let's get our guest in here.
Guest for today. So Mike Seal, welcome from Referral Realty Network.
Referral Network Realty, yes. And we love having Mike on, and love getting the market updates. This time we're going to learn about the Windsor market. What's going on, Mike? Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
We're doing wonderful. We're doing wonderful.
You guys had an amazing weekend?
Yes, we did. We were just talking about that.
Yeah. How about you, Mike? How was your weekend?
It was good. I traveled off to the Detroit Zoo with my son and his fiance and his little stepdaughter just before they're going to have the new baby. So
nice.
It was a long walk, to say the least. We brought my mom and my dad, and they're like in their 70s and struggling, and they walked the whole thing, man. Like it was unbelievable. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, what's it like being over there in Detroit? And I mean, it's what, a 8-minute drive for you?
Yeah, it's quick. It's 15 minutes to get over there to the zoo.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
It's a hop skip up I-75 to 696. It's just so it's really, really easy to navigate around over there.
And are you seeing just a ton of development going on over there?
Oh, it's crazy, right? I mean, remember, Detroit's always been that great American comeback, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Like in the things that are going on over there in the development in the auto industry, now with the international border crossing for Windsor Essex, now that they've got, the EV plant in the Windsor market back on track, and that's still underway, which is really, stimulating our market. We actually broke a record with over 900 new residents last month. They're expecting close to 1,000 new residents this month. So we're really starting to gain momentum and traction. It's giving a ton of opportunity to investors to be able to get into our market. We've got between Windsor and Chatham together, we've got about 85 income properties currently on the market. They range everywhere from, mid 300s up to the big multis in the couple $1 million mark. We've got an off-market opportunity that is coming up right now, only heard on the Jim and Irismar's morning show. 28 single family residential new build with legal suites.
Nice.
We're starting the first plan for the first one. They're going to start in the low 700 range. What's really nice about new build construction for people that are shopping is these are on the east side of Windsor. They're going to be built for spring of next year. So with the market demand on what's in the market, you'll get premium rent over there on the east side of town, especially this location, you know, and no rent control on a new build.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's right.
So, you
With the
know,
market.
as the market progresses, which is seeing 1,000 people a month moving into the area, we're seeing a massive demand. It's going to give people that ability to really give it that limit, right? And be able to scale. We're also looking at potentially trying to do 3 or more purchases. So if you did 3 single family with 3 basement apartments, we could potentially turn that into an MLI or to a CMHC insured mortgage.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. And I
So
love
lots
how
of really exciting stuff. We're seeing price adjustments. You know, a lot of guys' expectations were really high. Now we're seeing some multifamily buildings really coming into a good range. We've got a 9-unit building right now in Windsor that's that has 2 non-conforming units, so 11 units total. And we've got the price on it at $4,499,000. So
Okay.
150 grand a door. I mean, we haven't seen those kind of numbers in a really, really long time. And there's lots of room and opportunity in that building for lift.
And that's
You know,
I like
somebody
that
could still
neighborhood as
go in there
well.
and do some energy efficiency, still go in there and do some accessibility. You know, a couple of the rents are still low, so you might be able to fit into part under affordability for the mortgage payment. So there's just a lot of activity that's happening. And of course, you know, the single family residential stuff under 500,000, I was just looking right now because I wanted to give you that number and I forgot. So
Yeah,
there's
no worries.
almost 400 properties in Essex County under 500 grand single family residential. So that makes
Holy
it
moly.
still a very, very affordable and attractive market for people that want to move or relocate into the area because of employment opportunities that are here. And,
Right on.
you know, there's still potential on probably a third of those to do accessory dwellings, backyard apartments and basement deals.
Yes.
So
Awesome. Yeah.
loads and loads and loads of stuff happening in the Windsor Essex market for sure.
Yeah, I love how you got the opportunity there with the 28 homes, I think you said, for next spring.
28 single family homes with basement suites. I'm actually meeting the builder this afternoon to finalize the deal.
Perfect.
And those are currently off market. We haven't taken them to the market yet. I think what'll happen is as soon as they hit MLS, we're going to find a lot of first-time home buyers that are going to want to buy. People that are maybe thinking about moving into the Windsor market, they can buy one of these, live in a unit, and rent the other unit out. And that's a great way for them to start their investing journey.
I love how they come in pre-made for investors ready to take the step.
Yeah, we've finally gotten the ear of a couple really good builders in the market that understand that, you know, supply in the market is an important factor, and they're considering that in their builds and their development now.
Oh, awesome. Well, you know what? I think Windsor really is kind of like I don't know, sleeping giant or something. You know, it's going to boom one day. It's just going to explode. The closeness to Detroit there. When does the Gordie Howe Bridge get completed? When's that coming up?
So that when you look at that now, they're about halfway through the bridge connection.
Wow.
So we'll get a chance to tour that if you guys come down for a visit.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we'll
Very
go for a
awesome.
ride over there, check that out. We'll check out where the EV plant is, you know, so there's some interesting stuff, that's for sure.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Windsor's got a lot going on, and I think it's really just the beginning.
I know we missed the Erie Street deal, but maybe we'll find another one.
Windsor had that special little place in my heart, you know, never lose sight of it.
Windsor has beautiful people, and that's why we love going to visit it. And so for all of you guys watching, we'll put in the chat here how to, as always we do, how to reach Mike Seal if you're interested in the Windsor market or anything that he mentioned today. And Mike Seal is also the contact person for Referral Network Realty, which you guys have people coast to coast, Mike.
Yeah, coast to coast. I mean, our objective with Referral Network Realty was to make sure that we found the best investor-focused realtors in every market. We're still onboarding even more new realtors now that have innovative strategies. Actually just got a fantastic new commercial realtor in the Halifax market that does more bigger multifamily residential stuff this week. So he'll be getting onboarded into our dashboard as well. You know, so we're going to have variety, not just everybody from the small first-time investors that are looking to get their feet wet and need someone who understands secondary suites and additional dwellings, all the way to somebody who's looking for somebody that's a bit more sophisticated on the high, bigger end stuff, right? So coming soon, our new agent in Cincinnati, Ohio, our new agent in Salt Lake City, Utah, our new agent in upstate New York. Like, we've got some fantastic guys joining the team right now and onboarding to not only handle Canada, but a ton of the new stuff in the US market as well.
That's exciting. That's exciting. All right. Well, we'll put that contact information in the chat group there, guys. Thank you so much, Mike Seal.
Thank you so much, Mike. Have a
No
great
problem,
week,
guys.
and we'll stay in touch. We're due for Windsor.
Yes.
All righty. We'll talk to you guys soon.
See you, buddy. Thank you again.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that was
And
great. That's a lot of excitement there
That's a
going
lot
on
of
at
excitement.
Referral Network Realty, but we're very excited to have our guest today.
I know, Danielle Doan from your agency.
Wow. Thank you, Danielle. How are you doing? I think you're muted there still. Oh, perfect.
There you go. Hi, everyone. How are you doing?
We're doing great. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And how was your weekend?
It's been incredible. Honestly, just some self-care time. I needed to take it after being away for a bachelorette. So I was up north for a bachelorette. So that was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Right.
And I kept the intro briefly because I know you have many facets in your life. And I just said Danielle Doan from your agency. But for the viewers out there, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So for those who don't know me, so my name is Danielle. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started my Your Purpose agency, I would say it is hitting 2 years this year. And it's been operated for 2 years during COVID. I kind of pivot into a whole new career. So just a little bit of background is that I graduated from a double degree major. I was working in a law firm and I was actually becoming a lawyer. And then I decided that to pivot into entrepreneurship. That was more of my calling. So I opened a lash business because I was in the beauty industry at that time. But then COVID happened, and that's when I had like a huge different purpose to life that I'm going to pivot my career into social media management and into social media. So it has given me the opportunity to become a digital nomad. I traveled and I worked for 10 months last year with my partner, Zach, for those who know Zach. And it has given me the opportunities to actually work remotely from anywhere around the world.
Oh, wow. That makes life exciting.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. And we got the hint that there's more travel coming ahead. So that's continuing.
Yes, absolutely. So that's the beauty of it, right? Like social media has given me the opportunity to kind of like identify myself as different parts of my life, identifying myself, branding myself a certain way. And that's what I'm super excited to talk about like on our call today, right?
Awesome.
A lot. Yeah. And then I just recently I'm doing my first show for bodybuilding. So I'm also a bodybuilder. So I would say that kind of brings on my title as well. So that's a little bit about me so far.
Very inspiring. And do you, with all this traveling, do you have a home base? Do you have somewhere that you?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So live in Grimsby, Ontario. So it's just right outside of Hamilton. We have our little condo here. Yeah, and then my sister just rents it out when we're gone. So that's what happened last year. So it was just rented out.
Oh, incredible. Yeah. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
We've been traveling so much with all these real estate investor events this past 2 years that we're hardly home. We have this big house that sits empty so often, and we're kind of
thinking having those breakfasts.
You're thinking of what to do with it, right?
Yeah, it's like if we're not always here, why do we? I don't know. Yeah, we're thinking.
Yes, we're still thinking. Perhaps maybe get it in the market, renting, just having that perspective now that is more of the lifestyle, right? What is the lifestyle that you want to have, and what needs to have purpose, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's the beauty of that part, is that you have the opportunities and it's there. It's just like changing it up, right? Like you have the opportunity to be away. And I think that's one of the biggest things that Zach and I had to go through too, because we had to think about like, are we going to go away for a long time? And that's why we're going to be moving around a lot. Does that make more sense? Or we're going to be just gone during the winter time, which is just being snowbirds, right? So That's something that's definitely in the books for us to think about what's going to happen next in the next couple of years too.
Oh, very
So I totally
cool.
understand. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, exciting. The reason we had you, we all have been caught up into keeping up with social media. What is our branding? What do we need to do? So guide us away.
Yes, no, absolutely. So as you already know, so I'm just going to talk like very basic about social media. Of course, we know that's very important, and how the branding yourself on social media is really important just to build like trust with your audience, have consistency with building a community as well, right? I know a lot of real estate investors and a lot of real estate individuals like agents and in the industry are always confused about like, okay, what direction do I want to go towards, right? Because there's just so many platforms, so many social media platforms out there. And it's like, you see people creating podcasts, YouTube, being on Instagram. Now there's a new thing called Threads. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Yeah, so Threads as well. Facebook Lives, of course. And there's just so many platforms, right? And a lot of individuals, and I always tell people this, is that it's amazing to be on a lot of platforms. However, it won't get you to your goal quicker than what you think. Like a lot of people think that I need to be on everything in order for everyone to know who I am, in order to reach all audience and everything. But the actual smart way to look at social media is that there's always a platform that's going to cater to what your needs are. So I'll give an example. For instance, like if your goal is to become a mentor and a coach in the future, right? There's certain platforms that will deliver your branding better than other brandings. So for instance, if you're becoming a coach and a mentor, a very important platform for that would be YouTube. YouTube is one of the biggest platforms for that. Why? Because people go on YouTube to learn, to educate themselves. And if you're producing on YouTube, that you can also create such a huge funnel towards your courses in the future and reach wide audience from across the world. And that's one of the big beneficial for coaches and mentors. And also Instagram. Instagram is more about, and that's my specialty, my team specialty, is that we specifically work with actual clients that work with Instagram. It's more of an easy platform for people to see. It's kind of like a Facebook profile for people to see that it just got created to be more like minimalistic, because on Facebook, it's more about communities now. People don't go on profiles anymore on Facebook. It's more, they're only on there because they want to be part of like big communities. It's easy to access these communities, right? Whereas Instagram, it's about you, your business. It's about you personally, what you deliver on there. So it's very important to understand what each platform delivers and how you can justify and deliver the right content at the right time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And now, a lot of people, and I just got an email this morning telling somebody that's watching our profile and saying that, they can improve our likes and all that sort of stuff. And I'm, is it so much about quantity or quality? Do I want more likes, or do I want less likes, but from a better quality group of viewers?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that's been like a very popular topic, just because there's that new thing now, the verified check that you can pay for on Instagram. I don't know if you guys know about that. You could pay for it now and just have it but Instagram did that because there was a lot of profiles that were kind of like fake accounts. And the reason why, so they make you send in your driver's license photos and everything to confirm that it's you. So the profiles that you see with check marks are actually verified people now. They kind of control that now just to avoid like the whole scammers out there. But just to answer your question, there is that a lot of people think that they need to pay for all these likes and comments, right? And there's actually a lot of businesses out there that sells them, and they're called ghost followers, and they're called like fake numbers. And I will say this, that it helps when your business is already at a higher level thriving where you already have a community. So I'll give you an example. So I have clients where they're just starting out and they're learning how to build their community, right? So you know, showing up on Instagram and kind of basically they have around like, they're like, I was called their micro, they're under 1,000 people following them, but they're all friends and family that's in the community that you have. Now, let's say you buy the likes in the comments. This person buys the likes in all the comments, right? If they buy all these likes and comments, there's going to be like, let's say there's about like, they added additional 2,000 followers. So they have 3,000 now, and they have 200 people liking their post now, but the comments, they're only getting 1 or 2 comments on that post. That actually hurts the post itself on Instagram because it's being analyzed that you have fake followers on there. And then if I was somebody that was looking at that profile and then I see that all these numbers are so high, but the comments and stuff don't add up, that means this person's not actually supported, right? So that's the way I look at it, is that you want a community to actually socialize with you, real people. So when I say that it depends, it's because also if you were somebody that have been building a community for a long time and you have all these supporters that are like, when you post about like something educational about a workshop, like, hey, sign up for my workshop, and you actually have, you know, your audience that are commenting and being like, oh my God, you're doing that, that's so cool. And then you have 20 people commenting on that. People see that as a trust liability type of thing, right? Like they can trust somebody who has that, and this person has 5,000 people following them, but there's basically a backup proof that they feel reliable to that. So buying likes at that time would make more sense. But
Gotcha.
as a social media manager, I don't agree with buying your likes and your comments or anything, just because at the end of the day, you're only doing it to reach audience that people don't know you. But being in real estate, that's what's real estate all about. It's about people knowing who you are, the community that you're building relationships in person and on social. So I always say, like, buying all these likes and comments and stuff and spending all that extra money is just helping ghost followers, and it's going to hurt your analytics at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. I truly believe it doesn't matter unless you're selling a product and you're working remotely and you don't care about being in community.
Well,
right?
I think it gives the business owner kind of a false sense of their audience, you know, like, I mean, okay, so you paid for all these likes and all that sort of stuff and all these followers, but, you know, are they really driving you to the place that you need to go for your business to grow and develop? So
Exactly. And I always say it works for people who are already up there, like already has that support system, right? Because they already have that support system. They just need that extra boost to kind of reach people who are not in their support system, like who is not in their community. So that's where I say it helps. But if you have no community, it hurts them even more, just because these numbers don't mean anything at the end of the day. You don't have people engaging with your content, right? So there's no growth there. Exactly. So I always say it just honestly depends. And I do see a lot of people who do have that community, they do it and it does help them. So, and also if you have products, right? I think if you have products, like you have your mentorship, you have courses, you have a workshop, or you have meetups that you're planning, like a meetup for real estate or something, right? It works for that because you're selling products at the end of the day, and you want to reach a different audience, not just your community.
Gotcha. Right on. Very interesting.
Lots to think about.
Lots to think about, and it can be at the same time overwhelming, because then you're trying to do all of the platforms at the same time. You're trying to be relevant, and by relevant, it might just be, oh, I have to do a post, but you don't have necessarily an intention. So how about you guide us and take us from maybe
like
just
what
getting
kind
started.
of content? Getting started. You know what? And I always tell people, when you want to get started, just focus on first. The first step is that why do you want to be on social media, right? That's the first question to ask. It's like, do you think you just need to show up more for yourself, or you think you're going to show up more for other people? And that's one of the biggest things, right? If you're starting out on social media and there's so many platforms, so definitely know what is the end goal and kind of work backwards. That's like a common saying, but a lot of people don't do that, right? So let me give you an example. Like if your goal is to be like, in the future to become a coach and mentor, that's like one of the most popular things. A lot of my clients actually right now, that's their goal, their end goal in 5 years, 10 years, they just want to become educators, right? Okay, but you're going to work backwards how you're going to gain this audience and become that educator, right? So I actually have that sample here. So I'll share my screen like for real estate investors as well. So I'm just gonna here, but I'll large that out. So content wise, right? I always share this type of, these are the things that I focus on when it comes to like creating content for yourself. Number one is educational. 2 is you content, because at the end of the day, you need to back up your knowledge with who you are as well, right? So branding yourself is very important. Now, when I say branding yourself, I don't mean you have to go on Instagram and like show up every single day, your face and stuff, right? Because that is a lot of pressure, right? And people can feel when you're not genuine. Like you have to do, and that's why I always say, like, you have to show that this is who you are and you actually love doing it, right? If you're the type of person who doesn't love social media, there are people who will do it for you, right? And that's the thing, it's like, try to kind of like delegate that out if you don't like it. So growth content is very important because people want to see your progress, like in what you do. So for real estate, it's like, if you're working on a project, showcase the steps of how you did it, because there's other people who are interested and they were once in your shoe when they were starting out, right? So that kind of shares a lot of people who are kind of following your journey, and that's really important. Unique content, I always say unique is like anything to do with family, friends, anything like showcase that, you do have a life. It's not just business, because people like genuine people again, right? They want to see more than just that. Just like the business side of things. And then expertise, of course, is kind of related to educational. People want to know that you do know what you know, right? So backing that up and building a community, building the right community and attracting the right community, you'll need to showcase like what you're known for and what your expertise is. So I was just giving an example about like a mentorship and coaches, right? And this triangle actually relates to any business out there. And I go through this triangle with all my clients. It's because depending on which industry they're in, but I give an example of a real estate one here. So you always do something. There's 4 offers in your life that you're going to give in a business, right? There's going to be 3 things that you're going to give. Then you work your way up to a low ticket platform offering, mid-ticket offering, and then a high ticket. So an example for a real estate investor, agent, or anybody who's becoming a mentor or a coach, I give this example that you start from the bottom and then you work your way up. So free, what does that mean? Free advice, book a call with me. That's a very important one, that where people start out, right? Branding themselves is that you want to build a credibility, and you also want to build that people can reach out to you, right? That trust and that comfortable vibration to others. You could give out free tips, free lead magnets, like start your email list, right? That's one of the most important things that I always tell people to do, is that offer free tips for, entering in their emails for certain things, because building an email list will build anything for you. You have it ready for the future if you're selling any products or have any offerings in the future. So then you work your way up to a low ticket, right? So as a mentor and coach, you start doing mini crash courses, ebooks, workshops, right? For what you want to be teaching to the audience. And then mid-ticket, You work on courses, programs that are longer than weeks, right? There's always like, there's a lot of people in the real estate industry that does workshop over the weekends, bringing them to their properties and showcasing all these things, have group offerings and group trainings. And then high ticket is one-on-one. A lot of people do one-on-one, but one-on-one is not scalable. I do say that there, just because, you're giving someone a lot of your time, but most of the time, high ticket, people are willing to pay a high ticket for that, right? To have one-on-one with you, one-on-one trainings. That's also like masterminds and mentorships, right? One-on-one mentorships there. So this is just like an example of what I gave an example of for a real estate investor, what kind of offerings that they can do, but they're working backwards, right? So for social media, you have to consider like, okay, you're working backwards. So now what can you do? And what is your offerings? So I always treat it like a business, like on social media, it's the same thing. You have to work your way up to portray yourself for the future, basically. And for example, mentorships and stuff, you'll start wanting to plan out your social media on giving tips and ideas, right? Like building that trustworthy audience there. It's a lot.
No, I love it.
That's what we're quiet. We're taking it all in.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to memorize everything here.
Oh, yeah. I'll screenshot it and send it to you.
Don't worry about it. No, that's very cool.
Yeah, so that's just something that I always like gave an example to like anybody who wants to become like, a lead. I always say a leader, because that's one of the biggest things, right? A lot of people want to eventually work their way up to that level, for sure.
It really makes me think, because again, with all the social media platforms that are out there, and I'm a little bit older, so I tend to be on some of the Facebook type thing, and we were being served by a waitress at a restaurant a little while ago, and she was young. She looked like she was in the early 20s, and she asked us what we were doing here. We're here for a real estate investor conference, and she said, "Oh yeah, I follow a lot of real estate investor speakers on TikTok." I'm like, "Yeah, TikTok. I got to get more active on TikTok." Okay.
Yeah, like TikTok. So I was going to say TikTok is a very great platform to reach younger audience. I always tell people that. So if that's your clientele for the future, which is great for like, again, mentors and coaches to teach the younger generation, that makes sense. But if your goal is to build your own community in person, which I see you guys doing all the time, like Facebook communities is amazing for that, and showing up to in-person meetings as well, right? I think that's one of the biggest ways and the best way to kind of put yourself forward out there. And then social media is just a backup, not a backup, but it is your platform profile where you can reconnect with people again, through. Yeah, absolutely. But TikTok, it's another educational platform, because you hear so many people go on there and they go 5 tips, 4 tips. This is what you can do to make this much money. Like you see a lot of that, and they do very well, but it definitely reaches younger audiences for sure.
And then we had Tyson George on last week or the week before, and he's a young realtor, investor, and he said somebody was following him on Snapchat. Now I thought Snapchat was just a disappearing kind of messaging system. But it sounds like there's communities or something on Snapchat, or?
Yeah, so I don't know too much about Snapchat, but I do know that they started to build. So this is the crazy thing about all these social media platforms. That's why it gets a little bit so overwhelming, is that when something good is coming out, people try to create that within their platform. So like Snapchat has this community now because they saw how valuable that community, where you're building like a community on there, just like Instagram, right? Instagram has a community, Facebook has communities. So they just recently started adding that in, so that you're communicating people from around the world on there. And that's why Threads became so popular. It's attached to Instagram because of Twitter. So Twitter is a platform where people are just writing about like how they're feeling or that day. It's kind of like a little news I would say a lot of celebrities were using it, you know, like Elon Musk, Donald Trump. Like it was just so popular that Instagram decided to create their own. And then now that blew up, and it blew faster. It blew up faster than TikTok when it was first launched. So that's how crazy it is that
Incredible.
that's where it gets so confusing. It's because all these platforms keep kind of like trying to steal each other's ideas and then kind of putting it into their platform, right? But I always tell people, like, a tip is that, you know, stick to one and thrive on it, because you building communities can be done any platform. It can be done anywhere. But when you're thriving at one and giving your energy to one, that will just build your identity later. If you decide to create a YouTube channel, all those people from Instagram will just follow your YouTube channel because you already built a community there, instead of trying to separate your percentage of energy into so many different platforms.
Wow.
Yeah.
You certainly have given us many tips, and having social media not only keep up, but trying just to, like you're saying, integrate all of those pieces within their own existing platform. How will the end user tend to manage that pressure? Because we're gonna have the pressure now, and use it. And I now have to jump on that. And now it's like, I'm forgetting that my focus was Instagram, but I need to jump on that because I said it's having traction.
Yeah.
What's your advice to dealing with that pressure?
So there's certain tips that you can do, like, not tips, sorry. There's certain things that you can do to make it less stressful for yourself. Is that Instagram is actually tied to Facebook. So whatever you post on Instagram, it will get reposted on Facebook. So you don't have to do the double work. So that's the best part. That's like saving time for yourself. Now, I find most stress comes from creating content. That's the biggest thing. People overthink it. Like, what do I post? Like, do I post about this? Or is that too much? Does this come off as this? The way I see of it is that if you don't, like, I always question myself, okay, what is the purpose of a post, right? Like, are you just posting to just post, or you're posting because you actually want to share that you were just out with another investor for lunch, and then you were talking about this opportunity, and then you wanted to talk about that opportunity. See, there's a purpose that comes along with that there shouldn't be a pressure because you actually wanted to share that. That's what I would say. If you find that there's pressure behind sharing something, then that I see that as a red flag that you don't want to share it.
Wow.
And you should listen to your instincts, right? But however, there are people who just feel pressure all the time, but it's also because you haven't been on social media. You don't know what there is to do, right? Like how to kind of portray yourself at, and that's where there's people who, like, VAs and social media managers that are there to help you align your branding and help you align stories and your story basically to the public, right? And I always tell people, like, if you feel so much pressure from doing it, definitely delegate that to somebody like your assistant or a social media manager, because they can help you, make you feel better that what you're showcasing is actually something that will help you, right?
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
I have lots of takeaways.
Yeah,
You're
no,
busy.
you know what? It's a lot, right? And we went from really high ticket, like if you were experienced with it, and then we went from like beginners, right? But I always tell people, like, you know, it can be very stressful, but that's why delegate that, right? Like, we delegate so many things in our business every day. Social media is not something you need to be catching up to. You could hire somebody who actually can help you with that. And that's the best part. Yeah. And that's the best part. Most assistants, I actually have trained, like, I've been a social media manager for some investors as well, but I also end up training their virtual assistants after, because they always know what's in their calendar, right? Like and whereas social media managers, they don't know everything your day to day, what you do, but the assistants does. But we teach, like, someone on my team would teach that assistant, hey, like, this is the type of content that you can create for the investor, and that way kind of helps them kind of like come up with these ideas. But everything nowadays is content. Like, you guys going to meetups and Irismar, I see you post all the time and I love it. Like sometimes you even catch content before I do at an event. And I'm like, oh damn, can you send that in the chat? Yeah, and
That's true.
that
But thank
is
you,
really,
because I don't think so. I get caught up in the pressure. Like I'm just capturing moments, right? But not necessarily thinking it is content. It's going to be intention. I'm just capturing the moments, right? So
but that's the best part. It's you got the first part. A lot of people forget. That's the problem. And you can't reverse back like, oh, I was just at that event, but now I don't have photos to show that I was at the amazing event last night, right? So I always told you in person too when we were at the Real Power Ladies event that you taking that step is like one of the biggest steps that a lot of people skip out on because they don't think that it's content, but at least you have something to look back and be like, I can use this. I can use this. It's better to have it than to not have it. Right? Yeah.
Wow. Lots of golden nuggets to take away from this one. Yeah, I think I'll be rewatching this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot, right? But at the end of the day, I always tell people like, there's just so much platforms, just focus on one. That's one of my biggest tips for people is that focus on one and thrive on there because after it just gets easier instead of trying to learn how to be on everything and delivering different things for everything as well.
Right.
awesome.
Now, what maybe just the last one I'll throw in here though. I've been looking at these ones that post on multiple sites all at once. What do you think about those there? Are those easy to navigate and get around? Do they serve the purpose well?
Yeah, absolutely. So are you talking about like a platform? So like I use Later Media for some of my clients. That's the one that you're looking at.
Yeah.
So it's amazing for planning your content and having it post through all the platform, which is amazing. The only thing that it's missing is engagement. And that's the biggest thing on social media. It's like there's nobody to respond back to all your comments and stuff because these are programs. They don't do that, right? So I say that's the biggest part about being on social media is that you are talking back, you're responding back to people when they're asking questions or because that's the thing, you can post something, but if you're missing out on the engagement part, you lose that interaction with that person. So what was the point of building your identity on social media if you're not building a community? Right?
Gotcha.
So all these platforms are great for just organizing and posting for you, but it does take time off because now when you do go on that platform, you can take time to respond to people, right? And that's the longest part. It's the hardest part for a lot of people. Like I even schedule, I'm not on Facebook a lot because I'm just on other platforms that I just prioritize more, but I even schedule go on Facebook on my calendar because there's so many people that message back to me on there and I have to get back to them. So that's the biggest part. Engagement is the biggest part about being on social media. And I always tell people that focus on that because those are the people that you want to build in your community, right? At the end of the day. And that's more like the interaction is more the most important thing.
Yeah, I think social media interaction is about 60 to 90 minutes a week for me just to stay engaged with the community and try to create some content.
Absolutely. And it's not a lot if you decide to do it on one day for one day to build the content I'm talking about. If on a Sunday you're like, I'm going to build all this content, you kind of schedule it like it's work, but it's work that's going to deliver and grow your business on socials, right? So
right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it was a fabulous session. Thank you so
Lots,
much for coming
lots.
yes, lots, but I mean, great session for the many takeaways, which is if I'm missing anyone, feel free to remind, but in essence, start with the goal in mind, because that way you will portray yourself authentically. Choose a platform that will be advisable until you get more comfortable. And if you are getting too overwhelmed, ask yourself the question, do I really want to share, or is that something that I need to delegate? And I think in essence, with that, you have a great guidance to kick off that.
And-
media
Absolutely.
platform on.
And then also, if you're struggling, reach out to somebody like Danielle.
Yeah, 100%.
And
Yes.
and pay for the services and get the advice to help launch your career, your brand, and or your company.
100%.
Exactly.
And that reminds me, in addition to saying, keeping in mind the who, not how, Danielle,
Yes.
what would be the one book or podcast that you would like to recommend? You know, I always ask.
Oh, okay. I reread this book a lot, and it's the High Performance Habits by Brendan Bushaw. I love
Okay.
that book. He's incredible, and I've been dying to go to see him in person for one of his workshops in the States. But he talks about like all these 6 high performance that can benefit you in any day in your career, in your identity. And I think going through that exercise would be very beneficial for anybody to find out who their true purpose is in their business, in their life as well.
Wow.
Awesome. That's
Very
fantastic.
exciting.
So
Okay.
high performance habits.
Yes.
If you don't have it in your library, add it on, or even on an Audibly, just to get started, everyone. Because I read my books and I finished. I'm moving into the 3rd one now, so that's good.
Yeah. No,
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah.
for
Thank you,
having me.
Danielle. Yeah.
Have an
Everybody,
awesome week.
everybody,
Thank
be good to one another. Thank you so much, Danielle. Have a beautiful week, and we really appreciate everything you shared with us. And hang on for just a moment there. We'll see everybody next week. Thank you.